Welcome back to the Unarmored Talk podcast, everyone. If you have been with me since 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025, if this is your first time watching on my YouTube channel or listening, welcome and thank you for joining us. I have not produced in a few months because I took some vacation. I have a grandbaby now, so I had to get accustomed to my granddad duties, and I had some renovations to do in the house and outside before all of the summer heat arrived. And you guys know it's here. So I am back. Mario P. Fields didn't go anywhere. And today we have another amazing guest who is willing to remove their armor to appear on this show. His name is Sean McCray, goes by Sean Frost. He's an entrepreneur, real estate broker based out of Ottawa, Canada. He's also a life coach, and he's got extensive experience in music production. And one of the most important things that I believe, happy belated Father's Day, my friend. He is a dad. Sean, welcome to the show, man.
Mario, thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited to be here, and thank you for the lovely intro, and happy Father's Day right back at you, belated.
Everybody, before the show, I love Sean's bling, man. I love his chain. I told him I got to start selling more hot dogs on the weekend. I got to get my game up.
That's all right. That's all right. You're looking good over there.
No, man. So, hey, you do a lot of things. I mean, you and I have had a chance to get to know each other, and I want to give a shout out to his team before we get into this topic. This discussion to learn, if you will. A shout out to his team that found the Unarmored Talk podcast that connected Sean and I. Because if it weren't for them, this opportunity would not be happening. But can you tell the listeners and viewers just a little bit about who Sean is?
Most definitely. So, grew up from humble beginnings here in Ottawa, Canada. Lived here most of my life. I've had a couple little blips here and there. I lived in Fort Lauderdale for a bit. I was working with some artists out in Kansas City as I was growing up as well. But the rest of the time, home base has always been Ottawa. So, grew up here, went to school here. A lot of the same friends that I've had since, elementary school. Now raising my family here, I absolutely love this city. Started off as an entrepreneur when I was in high school with my music production company. I was composing music, and I had representation that was kind of, placing beats and selling beats for me. And, just evolved from there. So evolved from the music production side, got into, I was still going to school at the same time, but, got into the construction field, running a general contracting company, which I absolutely despised, by the way. So had my own personal difficulties with that in life, just because I absolutely hated it and I was very unfulfilled and actually went through a pretty decent bout of depression, but was able to come out the other side with a little bit more clarity. And then utilize that, got into the real estate game, became a real estate broker, and then actually got my license to be a custom home builder here in Ottawa. So yeah, we're building custom homes. I'm running a team here for the real estate side. I've got an investment group with, as I mentioned, guys all from my elementary school, which is very cool. And then circled back to working with artists and actually a professional wrestler. And so yeah, I just try to do everything basically that I'm passionate about and figure out a way to incorporate it into my life. And of course, all of that falls under the umbrella that's led by being the family man and most importantly, being a dad. Just that's the name of the game for me.
Sean, and I love your energy, my friend, and I love how you say, "Hey, Mario, pursuing my passions." Hey, there were some things I didn't like,
Yeah,
but for the most part, my belief is some people would listen to this and go, "Man, Sean's busy," but I'm going, y'all, did y'all catch that word? He said passion, and this is fun. He's on
yeah,
payroll, having fun, man. And so let's just jump right into the topic, Sean.
sure.
You know what? Before we do that, because some folks, they don't listen to the whole 18 minutes. If anyone wanted to find you, how could they find you? Let's get that up front.
Yeah, right on. So the easiest, the best way is Instagram, to be honest. It's the main platform that I use. My team actually runs most of my other platforms. So Instagram is run by myself. It's at I am Sean Frost. Again, that's at I am Sean Frost. And you basically get to see every side of me from, being a dad to being a partner with the professional soccer club here to the music side to the real estate side. You get me as a whole on one platform. Reach out to me there, and I might not see it the first take, so don't be shy to keep hammering away. But yeah, I've got time for anybody that's putting in the effort.
You guys heard it at I am Sean Frost on IG, and I'll make sure that's in the show notes. So let's just jump right into the topic. You and I connect. We had a chance to talk, but from my basic understanding, you've decided that you know what, I want to find more ways to leave my legacy. The things that I've been passionate about, things that I believe can help the next generation of humans, and I want to make sure I solidify that before I pass away. Talk to me about when did Sean Frost make that decision to do that, and what happened?
I don't know about the legacy part as, an adolescent or a youth growing up, but I think it started there because
Mm-hmm.
you know how it is being an entrepreneur, you do need to have a very, very, you have to have thick skin, but you also need to have a very, very strong belief,
Yeah.
self-belief. And I've always really been blessed with that. I've recognized that as long as I can remember that, that doesn't mean I'm good at everything. But it does mean that if I want something, I know how to go and get it. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm relentless. That's one of the terms that I describe myself with is that basically I don't tap out. I don't give up on things. So I think having that self-belief has kind of helped carry me along the way to the point where I'm at now, where I'm so grateful and I have so much gratitude for the life that I'm living that I'm full disclosure, I'm living, and it's not all, rainbows and butterflies here, but I'm I'm very conscious of how fortunate I am to be living the life that I'm living. So, with that being said, like I've worked very, very hard to get to this point. So, part of it is an ego thing where I don't, you know, I don't want to leave this all behind for nothing. Like I want this life to mean something for myself, and I don't necessarily just want it to mean something for today. I want to instill something, values and ideologies and the work ethic and so many other characteristics to my son. But I also want to leave something even bigger than that. And it's not to, build statues for me and stuff like that. But it's just like I just want to leave an impact that, if it could help shape or help give something to somebody along the way after I'm gone. And of course, the more times that could happen, the better. But as long as I'm just like leaving an impact, I'm leaving something else behind. I've kind of always had that feeling from when I started my first businesses. Like, hey, I want to do something that's bigger than just me. I don't need to have the materialistic things and just be rich. I want to do something. I want to be something.
And to me that's a courageous choice because you don't have to. I mean, that's a choice. There's a lot of folks live and don't even choose to maybe leave it in a podcast, leave what they've done in a book. But one thing you did mention in my belief, Sean, is that it is a extremely challenging obstacle to metaphorically navigate, and that is when depression, when that comes in, and that could be either a chemical imbalance or through a traumatic experience. What do you believe, in your journey, got you through that challenge?
Loaded question. So I've been there a couple times,
Yeah.
to be honest. And well, the flip side of having that self-belief is that I'm also my worst critic. I'm my hardest critic. And
Yeah.
right, so it's a gift and a curse. It's a double-edged sword. And I treat myself well in terms of like when I have a win, I
Yeah.
celebrate it and I don't take it for granted. But when things don't go my way, I don't play the blame game. So even if it's an exterior, an external factor for the reason that it didn't work out, I put myself in the position where I
Mm.
had to rely on that external factor, not to go wrong. Like at the end of the day, it's on me. And the the main thing to help me get through is of course my wife,
Yeah.
is family. So this was before my son was born, and I was trying to make it at that point. I was trying to
Right.
make something out of myself, trying to make ends meet, not trying to take things to the next level. I was trying to pay bills during this time and taking a leap of faith and starting a business. And the business was okay. We were getting deals. I was making, money. Some money was coming in. I absolutely hated it. So it was the fact that I found myself now
Mm,
living a life where I was going to bed anxious about what was going to happen in the morning and then waking up unhappy. And I thought that that was kind of part of the starting a new business phase. And you travel through some rough waters before, obviously you get to clear sales. And it was an actual, I was kind of going through it without actually understanding that I was going through it at the time.
yeah.
It wasn't until I was able to reflect on it and being like, whoa, that was a lot darker place than I thought it was at the time. But support system is the biggest. So it was the fact that I had
Yeah.
my wife. I have really, really close friends that were helping me without knowing that they were helping me because they didn't really know what I was going through because I did keep that very internal. And that's a change that I've made in my life is that now I'm very, very I'm very much more vocal on how I'm feeling because everybody can relate. And I feel that in the position that I'm in living this life that I'm so grateful and content and fulfilled doing every day that when I go through, anything, I feel that it helps me, share it, but it goes on that legacy path of like if I can share what I'm going through and let somebody know that might be in a little, enduring a few more hardships than I'm currently going through. And they're like, hey, if Sean's going through it now, well, then maybe we're all going through something. We never know what the next person's actually dealing with. So
Right.
it's relatable. So then people might say, okay, you know what? Like there is another side out of this. And if I can help in that way, well, then I consider that part of a legacy project as well.
And that's the beauty, Sean, of having these unarmored discussions is because the listeners and viewers, like you said, someone's going to listen to this thing going, oh man, I just opened up my business and no one came in to buy anything. Or like you said, you're like, okay, I'm paying the bills, some money's coming in, I hate it. And I have
Yeah.
all this anxiety going to bed. But that family support, a friend, a coach, a pastor, a wife, that support. And that self-reflection. I love how you said you didn't have to do that. I love how you said, Mario, I didn't know what the hell I was going through. And I'm paraphrasing. I didn't know
Yeah.
what the hell I was going through until I self-reflected and looked back and was like, the heck, oh my gosh. And so now let's talk a little bit about the music side. And I'll share this with you, man. I know you. Everyone. If you don't know, my dream has always been to be in a band. I can't sing, and I cannot play any instruments, but I just always wish I could. Sean, how does that feel for you to be able to help people make positive impacts on folks through your talents in music?
It's unbelievable, really. Like that's a dream come true. So this is an avenue that I feel that I was destined to be in. And then life can take you every type of which way. And when I was mid 20s, I quote unquote kind of felt like I had to grow up. So I stepped away from the music side. And the fact that I've been able to get back into it and work with some tremendous talents as well as fulfill some of my own dreams in terms of like going across the states last year in the fall. We did 27 dates in 34 days
Oh my
with an
goodness.
artist I was working with two time, and on tour with Polo G, and like it was a dream of a lifetime. I had done shows here and there. I had been with big bands, on the tour bus, this and that, especially as a youth. But to be kind of running point with a couple other guys and doing this was so crazy, and to like look into the crowd and see like the impact that two time was leaving and that ultimately we're a team, so we're all doing this together is amazing. And yeah, just to be able to kind of evolve the music to be a really, really big part of my life that actually makes sense on every level, not just a dream and a passion, but something that's actually really working is just such a blessing. And honestly, feels like I felt there was an empty component inside while I wasn't doing, while I took the time away from music to try to, do the things that I thought society needed me to do.
Right.
Like music was fun, and I got to a point where it was really hard to like think of that as like a career because it wasn't where I needed it to be at that time. So I had to kind of take a step back and pivot.
And again, I really admire how you followed your passion, and you recognize your passion. I wish I had more time because everything you're doing, Sean, is like in my passion. When you talk custom build, man, I'm like, man, I can get me a cigar and some bourbon right now. It's starting to pick your brain, metaphorically. But check it out. So a lot of veterans, a lot of folks who are currently on active duty in the military and our veterans, they also watch the show or listen to the show. And the one thing you mentioned is passion. And the one thing I've seen that's been a challenge if folks who have served in the military, getting out and just finding their passion, could be in music, rap, rock, EDM, EDC, whatever, man. Finding their passion, kind of letting go of that military culture, not forgetting the skills they learned, but just okay, refine who you really are and just go for it. What advice can you give those folks, not just in the military, but any human, to just go find their passion? What can you give them, man?
Yeah, well, that one's an easy one, and I think it's just you know, don't be afraid of quote unquote failure. And part of the problem with that is that people, in society today, I feel that people feel like when something doesn't work out exactly how they envisioned it,
Mm,
that it's considered a failure. Whereas my philosophy on failure is literally if you give up. And quitting, like stopping something to recognize that it's not necessarily for you is not the same as giving up. It's
mm,
understanding that, listen, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, or this isn't doesn't feel how I thought it was going to feel. This isn't it for me. And that's such a blessing because people feel like, okay, like, oh man, I'm back to where I started. And it's like, well, you're not because you literally took one branch off of your tree of life. You took one avenue that you thought might have been something and you've explored it and you took it right to the edge and you realized, you know what? This isn't for me. And that's one door that you can now close that there'll never be a what if, there'll never be, and you can move on to the next thing. So don't life is so it should be so exciting. So why wouldn't you just start exploring as many things as you can to find out what that passion is? And you know, I'm so lucky because I happen to have multiple streams of things that I'm passionate about. I don't actually, Mario, to be 100% honest with you, aside from dentists, doctors, lawyers, like that kind of stuff, I really, really focus on not doing anything in life that I don't want to do, which means that that's from social. So if friends ask me to go do something and I say no, and I'm brutally honest with them. I'm not feeling it. I don't want to do that. If there's something that comes across my desk that could be lucrative, but I'm not passionate about it, I'm good. I'm not going to do it because it's probably going to lead to something negative down the road that I'm not going to be interested in dealing with. If it's just driven by money, well, then I'm not really about it. And what that does is I'm trying to really create something that whenever I'm doing something, I'm 100% present. Meaning, for example, this conversation that you and I are having right now,
yeah.
if if I wasn't if I wasn't 100% passionate about it, you and I wouldn't have this conversation right here, right now. There is literally nowhere in the world or anything else that I'd rather be doing than speaking with you right now. And I think that helps carry weight for me in everything that I'm doing, and especially around like people that know me. They know when I'm there, I'm there.
Well,
So don't,
Sean, I can feel the passion, and I'm in North Carolina. And
yeah.
I'm surprised my system didn't go down, man. And and if you guys didn't catch it, I mean, I love how Sean, the way you said it, Mario. My philosophy of failure is, did I give up? Not did I go, and this is actually toxic. Like this is not healthy for me. I might need to change directions. No, did I just give up? And if you just make the choice, unless you're insane, but if you're sane and you choose not to give up, and then just keep going. And like you said, failure is when you just quit. You just quit.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And that just to elaborate on that, Mario, sorry, I just wanted to mention
No,
that,
you're
like,
good, man.
it's a lesson, right? Because you're learning something on why something didn't work. So whether or not you
Yeah.
stick on that path and keep trying to kick down that door on whatever avenue or lane you're going down for that particular thing is great. But even if you decide to pivot and you switch up and you're like, that's not for me, I'm going to try something different. Well, now you know an approach on the next thing that you want to do. You know an approach maybe not to take because it didn't work in that situation. Analyze it. Why didn't it work? And then guess what? You're already one step ahead before you've even started pursuing the next thing that you want to do.
Yeah, but you see what I'm doing. I'm taking notes on you. Look, I'm,
My man.
Sean, this is year 5, and I'm learning. I'm like, Sean, invoice me after this. Put a net 30 on it.
Yeah, right. No, no, I'm happy to be here, man. It's been so great connecting with you.
Dude, that is cool. Well, man, I tell you, before I let you go, what's the next big thing on the horizon for you, man? If you had to pick one thing, what's next?
I got two. So on in the business world, I got two. So I'm working with an artist named Justin Diamond from Ottawa. We grew up in the at the same time, two different parts of the city. So we never worked together. Now that we're grown, we're working on this album. I'm super super passionate about it. It's going to be dropping in July. We're finishing touches right now, so that's going. And then I actually look after a wrestler, help with advising and an advisory role and some coaching and stuff like that. His name's Josh Bishop. He's actually doing a show out in Paris, a wrestling show in Paris for during Paris Fashion Week. Amazing, amazing talent coming up. So those are my two big ones. And then big milestone for me right now is we're in the last week of school. My son's finishing grade 2. So we're just ramping up for the summer, and I'm excited to surprise him on Friday with after school stuff and just treat him to a wonderful summer.
Man, that is cool. Sean, I'm from Michigan. I go back and visit, rest my mom. So, but I always go back once in a while and visit her gravesite. But man, if I'm ever up in that area, I got your contact information. I would love to fly across the line there and break bread with you in person, man.
I got lots of room here, man. There's space for you guys.
And same thing for you, Sean. If you're ever on the East Coast, I got nothing but real estate for you as well. As a matter of
Awesome.
fact, you'll get the red carpet, voice activated grapes. You'll get
Oh, okay. Sign me up.
Well, Sean, it's been a pleasure. I know you got to go because I love talking to you, man, and I will have you on the show forever. But, ladies and gentlemen, everyone that's watching and listening, again, thank you for supporting for these years. Again, if this is your first time, thank you again. But until next time, I pray that God continues to bless you, your family, your friends, and everything around you. Sean, be safe, man, and let's kick it.
Thanks, Miro. You too, man.
Take care.